was jumping the gun.
Recording in progress.
So Tran, there's Paul. All right. Everybody ready? Good evening and welcome to the Federal Way City Council meeting for September 19th of 2023. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. Great to see a full audience. Got some great business to conduct. Before we go any further, we've got Councilmember Dovey, who is appearing remotely from a remote location. Councilmember Dovey, great to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Councilmember Walsh will be attending remotely if possible. Is he on?
He's not on right now, Mayor. No.
Okay. All right. Well, he is excused at this time, and if we hear from him, we'll patch him in. Okay, now let's go to Mayor's Emerging Issues and Report. We'll have the introduction and swearing in of new police officers. And Chief Wong, why don't you come on up and...
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, Deputy Mayor Honda, and members of the Council. It is my pleasure to introduce to you and our residents the newest members of the Federal Way Police Department. Mayor Farrell will give the oath of office this evening. 5 of the officers standing before you are entry-level police officer who recently graduated from the Police Academy and is currently in our field training program. We also have a transport officer who is also in our field training program. Most of these officers took approximately a year to get to where they are today, from applying to become a police officer to graduating from a 5-month police academy. These officers are at varying stages of their 4-month field training program, working with an experienced corporal or police officer. These officers are quality individuals, people of integrity, and we are fortunate to have them as part of our team serving our community. First, we have Officer Katrina Fletcher. Katrina has been employed with the City of Federal Way since 2018, when she was hired as a part-time graffiti technician in the Community Development Department. During this time, Katrina also volunteered in the police department. In 2020, Katrina was promoted to a records specialist position. Katrina earned an emergency medical technician certificate from Pierce College. Katrina graduated from the Police Academy on July 27th. Katrina enjoys outdoor activities, photography, disc golf, running, hiking, occasionally fishing, and crabbing with her family in her spare time. We are really happy for Katrina. She started with our city as a volunteer, and she developed and progressed well, and within our organization, we're really happy to see her as a police officer for our city now. Next, we have Officer Lane McCann. Before joining the City of Federal Way, Lane worked as a delivery and installation specialist for the Vintage Ambiance and as a baseball coach for 17 years at the high school and youth levels. Lane worked as a sales associate and also as a security personnel. Lane graduated from the Police Academy on July 13th. In his spare time, Lane enjoys going to the gym, spending time with his family, off-road in their truck, playing video games, and building Lego projects with his son. Okay, next we have Officer Alejandra Jacobo. Prior to joining the City of Federal Way, Alejandra worked as a sales representative for T-Mobile. Alejandra earned a criminal justice degree from Pierce College. Besides English, she is fluent in Spanish and American Sign Language. Alejandra graduated from the Police Academy on August 17th Alejandra enjoys weightlifting and exploring new restaurants with her mother in their spare time. And Alejandra pursued her career in law enforcement about a year and a half ago. She attended Coffee with a Cop on Starbucks at 320th. I remember her meeting with several officers and speaking with me as well, and she shared at that time that she wanted to be a Federal Way police officer. About a year and a half later, here she is, so congratulations. Next, we have Officer Trevor Funk. Trevor earned a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from the University of Wisconsin-Superior and currently serves in the Army National Guard. Before joining the City of Federal Way, Trevor was a Lawton Correctional Facility Segregation Sergeant and a Minnesota Counter Drug Unit Crime Analyst. Trevor graduated from the Police Academy on August 31st. In his spare time, Trevor enjoys kayaking, fishing, and road trips with his family, including his dogs. Next, we have Officer William Mann. William earned a Bachelor of Science in Homeland Security from the University of Albany and an AA from Kingsborough Community College. Before joining the City of Federal Way, William was an infantry officer in the United States Army and a community service volunteer for the Boy Scouts of America. William graduated from the Police Academy on August 17th. William loves to work out, play basketball, and play with his dogs in his spare time. Next, we have Officer Amber Matlock. Amber was hired as a transport officer on July 3rd. Amber earned a Bachelor of Science in Political Science from California State University. Before joining the City of Federal Way, Amber worked as a detention lieutenant for the GEO Group, part of the Federal Detention Center. She was also an assistant girls soccer coach for Foss High School, head coach for JV girls basketball at Edison High School. Amber enjoys attending sporting events, playing basketball, soccer, and playing softball in her spare time, and loves to travel with her partner. Please join me in welcoming the newest member of the Federal Way Police Department. Okay. Police officers, if you could come up to the front, to the podium.
Officers, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name. Do solemnly swear and affirm that you're a citizen of the United States
Do solemnly swear and affirm that I'm a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and you will support the Constitution
and I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the laws of the state of Washington,
and the laws of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
skill, and ability,
skill, and ability,
truly, faithfully,
faithfully,
diligently, and impartially
diligently, and impartially
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of police officer
in and for the City of Federal Way
in and for the city of Federal Way
in King County, Washington,
in King County, Washington,
and other duties as prescribed by law.
and other duties as prescribed by law.
Congratulations. Okay.
If you can switch places, Amber, come on up to the podium, all by yourself.
Okay. If you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I, Amber Matlock,
Do solemnly swear that you are a citizen of the United States
solemnly swear that I am a citizen of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
that you will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the laws of the state of Washington,
and the laws of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
skill, and ability,
skill, and ability,
truly, faithfully,
truly, faithfully,
diligently, and impartially
diligently, and impartially,
perform the duties of jail transport officer
perform the duties of jail transport officer
in and for the City of Federal Way
in and for the city of Federal Way,
in King County, Washington,
King County, Washington,
and other duties as prescribed by law.
and other duties as prescribed by law.
All right, congratulations. Let's do a picture real quick. In fact, actually, should we, why don't we have the office, I'll go back here, and maybe we have the officers, what do you think, David? Yeah. And we'll have the council up above, and I'll go back. Okay, if you're good, let's we'll do all one big picture. All right.
Get my little stool. I want to be seen.
This one is flat.
No, if I fall, I'll just fall. Because I am the tallest police officer in front of me.
I've got one of those. Here, you want one? Here, go ahead, use that.
I think Han needs it more than I do.
Watch out, watch out.
Is he standing his too?
Okay, there we go. You got it. Congratulations, officers.
I want to thank the family members who are here to support the officers. Officers and family members, you're welcome to leave at this time.
Good luck, officers and transport. Thank you so much. And thank you for your willingness to serve. Okay.
What does that bring us up to for number of officers?
Well, that's a great question. Let me talk to the chief. Hey, chief. The council president had a quick question. Where does that bring us up to in regard to on-duty police officers now? I know that we've got 150 budgeted. Where are we at? Just as a matter of if you've got it on hand.
Sure. We have about a dozen more officers to hire. We have about a dozen or so in the field training program. We have probably 10 or so or plus in the police academy at this time. We have several waiting to go to the academy.
Very good. Okay. All right. Keep it up. Thanks. Appreciate it. Great work. Okay. And now we've got some really fun news. We've got the community center update with our Parks Director, John Hutton.
Apologize for the delay. Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Deputy Mayor, and Council. I just want to take a brief moment to celebrate and thank you all. We had a wonderful grand reopening weekend this past weekend. Several of you were there. Thank you very much for attending. We were completely full for all of the Saturday sessions and about 3/4 full for all of the Sunday sessions. So that's 600 swimmers on Saturday and over 400 on Sunday. That was fantastic. Everybody had fun with the games, activities, contests that we had. I think everybody had a great time the whole day. Special thanks to the mayor and council again for attending and sharing this milestone with us. Thank you for your patience. It's been a long, rough year, but we're definitely back and the place looks fantastic. All of the members and guests loved the new slide and the aquatic play unit. The lazy river is a huge amenity for people of all ages. It's tremendously helpful for our older citizens who use it for water exercise every single day, and it's also fun for kids and people of all ages. So we're very pleased also with the cosmetic repairs we made in the locker rooms. It looks much better. It doesn't look nearly as bad in fact, it looks really good throughout the locker rooms and the cabanas as we move forward into the next stages of the total redo of the locker rooms. And we are very excited to have a fully functional community center again after a long wait. So thank you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, John. Yeah, actually, we were all there. It looks absolutely beautiful, with the brand new slide. We encourage people to bring their families. And so to sign up, I know that you had people pre-register on that day. In order to use it, is it one of those things where you need to sign up before, or can you just show up?
Now we're back to normal, so anybody can come anytime. They don't have to pre-register. It was a management of the crowd. The anticipated crowd, which was very big, 1,000 swimmers in 2 days, was a lot of swimmers. So we wanted to make sure that people were able to pick their time and know they had a guaranteed spot just for that opening weekend. The rest of the time, we don't have to do any of that. It was just to manage the crowd and make sure everybody got to swim when they wanted to with their family. So
Very good.
But going forward, normal, business as usual, you can walk up. And we did have several walk-ups. We accommodated everybody who wanted to swim throughout the weekend, so there was no problems at all.
All right. Thank you.
So for a family of 6, is that the majority of people that can be in a family for yearly
For a membership? I think we go higher than a family of 6 if you.
Is that,
yeah.
okay. So I think it was like $800 for a family for a year, it's at least 6 or more people.
I apologize, I don't have the rates in front of me, but we're super competitive. We're less than half the price of a YMCA, for example.
Okay.
So, membership. So
Yeah,
we're
so-
very, very competitive.
So-
In fact, we're very, very affordable.
Yeah, the only reason I brought it up is that people know that they can buy a membership.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
for a small family or for a larger family, and it's very reasonable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we do offer lots of subsidies for people who need a little assistance. We have lots and lots of programs for people.
And so so for people who haven't been in our community center, we have a climbing wall, we have basketball, we have workout area, so birthday parties.
It's a fantastic facility, really a full-service community center. We're very incredibly proud of it. Several years ago, or a few years ago, just pre-COVID, we were named the #1 community center in the United States of America. That's a big deal. There's tens of thousands of community centers, and that's not us talking, that's NRPA, which is the gold standard of all parks and recreation. So it's a wildly popular facility, a real gem in our community, and counted on. Many of you are members. The mayor is there almost every single day. And so we
working on it.
appreciate that. What's that?
I'm working on it.
Almost every single day, yeah. And I'm not there near enough, but obviously you can tell. So, but at any rate, it is a fantastic facility. And what really separates the facility, there's a lot of facilities that have maybe better amenities than we do. But they weren't rated #1, and we're #1 because of the people in the building. The people over there are unbelievable. And you saw it. For those of you who were there, that was a all hands on deck. We had every single full-timer there, and we had every single part-timer that works at the community center or in recreation, servicing the community that day. And I never seen so many happy people. They were all happy to be there and welcome back our customer base, our citizens, our guests, our members, everybody. And to the members, thank you for their patience. I mean, it was trying. A lot of those people really count on that pool for their overall health and well-being, and having it taken offline for a long time was hard on them, and we're thrilled to have it back now for them and for our community's health.
Yeah, and I was glad to see what we do with our developmentally disabled community. That was very special to them. They felt very glad to be part of a regular activity that other people do. So just to let you know, when I was on the council many years ago, we went to Aurora, Colorado, a couple of different cities in Colorado to pick out a model of a community center. And the big discussion we had at the time was whether we were going to be able to afford including ice skating arena. And with costs, we couldn't, but we got the best we could with what we had.
Absolutely, yeah, we're definitely very, very happy with the community center, and couldn't be happier that it's back online.
Absolutely. And actually, when you do your yearly cleaning and refurbishing, when, right around the Labor Day holiday, I was very impressed with the new paint job interior on the inside. And, we opened that facility exactly 16 years ago, and it looks almost new. I mean, it looks looks beautiful.
Really does. Thank you, sir, and that's intentional.
Yeah.
We have a motto in the building that says, everybody's the janitor. And it's all of our responsibilities to keep it clean. The #1 reason people leave a fitness facility of any kind is an appearance of uncleanliness. And so we make it our position, and the mayor can attest, because his now 16-year-old football star son was once a little guy in our day camp. And we reward those kids when we catch them doing something great, like picking up a piece of litter. They get extra prizes and extra attention, and we really model that. And we have a kangaroo court where if a staff member were to step over a gum wrapper, they're fined in a fun way, and that money goes back to them, but it's fun. We take great pride in it.
And one other thing, just so people know, they can have a wedding at the facility, beautiful
Absolutely.
rooms to have wedding in.
We do almost every kind of rental, from weddings, bat mitzvahs, quinceañeras, funerals, celebrations of life. We do a ton of different things, including weddings. We have numerous weddings every year. It's a tremendous space, and it really is a benefit for our community to have it on so many levels, from rentals to fitness to swimming. What gets underrated sometimes is how many kids, we don't know how many lives we've truly saved over the years, but we've taught probably 100,000 or more kids to swim in the 16 years. That's an amazing thing, because living in Western Washington, we're surrounded by water, that opens the world for kids to be able to boat or swim or fish, things that kids that are afraid of the water or not competent in the water, their parents probably aren't going to let them go there. And so it opens up the world to kids in a million ways. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, Council, this the community center update has been, while we're waiting for the pool and as we're waiting for that, we added this as a permanent item. We will have John come back as updates warrant for the restroom repairs that we talked about, and but it won't be a permanent item here, but as it mandates. All right, thank you, John.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now we've got Day Center update, and with Keith Niven, Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council. Keith Niven, Community Development Director. So previously, you had asked for an update on the operations of the Day Center, and you should have received an email from Sarah Bridgeford on September 14th. And I am going to just summarize that email for you this evening to provide that
And
information.
Keith, actually, while you, before you get started on that, so people have context, this is the Day Center on 13th Place, just around the corner from Joe's Deli. It provides Day Center assistance for homeless individuals and individuals needing assistance. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry for
That's good.
lacking the context. This is a summary basically for August of this year. In August, the Day Center served 448 unique individuals. 304 or 68% of those people were staying in Federal Way when they first visited the Day Center. 403 self-reported only visiting the Day Center a few times per month. It could be to access Day Center services or to access other services provided in the building. There's a smaller number of regular Day Center clients. Approximately 45 individuals visited the Day Center 9 or more times in August. Of this group, 91% report staying in Federal Way prior to engaging in Day Center services. And that really kind of addresses some of the concern that people were migrating to Federal Way to use the services in the Day Center. And although there are some, a majority are clearly in Federal Way already. After Federal Way, most individuals commonly report coming from Kent or from outside King County. The latter category is presumably Tacoma or Pierce County. The Kent Day Center also reports seeing a comparable number of Federal Way clients accessing their services as compared with the Federal Way Day Center serving clients from Kent. The City Council also requested an update regarding the woman sleeping under the umbrellas at the Day Center. She is currently located on property owned by Catholic Community Services. She accesses the Day Center services on occasion, but not consistently. Day Center staff are familiar with her and have reached out to her to assist. She expresses a desire to stay in Federal Way only. While there are times that her mental health impairs her ability to care for herself, that does not appear to be the case at the moment. Also, she has a mental health provider other than Catholic Community Services and has what's called tiered care, which means that Catholic Community Services Behavioral Health Services cannot service her because she is not their client. However, CCS has reached out to her behavioral health provider to encourage more service. Additionally, CCS has reached out to a culturally relevant service provider to see about additional outreach services. That ends my update on the Day Center.
All right. Councilmember Stephen Dawson?
Wasn't there an update when she did leave?
Yeah, she left. Paul, you want to say that a little bit louder?
Yeah, she moved from being in between the sidewalk in that little space, so now she's along the fence line, actually on their property.
Right, exactly, thank you. Yes, thank you, Keith. I do want to thank our King County Councilman, Pete Von Reichbauer. Actually, it was our deputy mayor, and our council president that reached out to our King County council member. The King County council member, Pete Von Reichbauer, sent a letter, and I spoke to him as well several times, and he actually personally spoke with the King County executive because that individual was on county property at the county public health facility. She didn't go, the individual we're talking about didn't go far, but I think it was really, it speaks a lot about our council that they were so concerned about making sure this individual's gotten services. And it sounds like on that particular day, our officers, once we did, once the executive gave us authorization to remove her from that property, there was a great deal of effort made by our police officers to, refer services and try to get her in a location that she could get some services and get on the right path. And that was really a challenge and ongoing, and certainly something that as a challenge for our law enforcement officers. As was mentioned, she didn't make it very far. She went right to the neighboring property, and the chief and I discussed it, and that very night, I think it was Thursday night, that she was deep enough in the parking lot and essentially on the north fence there of the day center that we didn't believe it warranted any further law enforcement activity that particular night. I think that this particular instance presents a unique set of circumstances and a humanitarian one, very much so, and hopefully the day center can help her. Council, were there any other questions?
No, at least we brought that person to the attention of the King County Basic Health, because they're the ones with the social workers that can help her and help her. She has the right to refuse services, and even though she's mentally ill. And so just to keep her safe, and I do know that there are people in the community that are concerned about her and want to bring her blankets and that kind of thing. It's kind of a nice thing to bring people together to try to help somebody, It's a difficult thing.
I do know that there was, I do know that there were questions about whether she presented a danger to herself. And when somebody, officers can declare somebody can involuntarily commit, but there's something called CDMHPs, Community Designated Mental Health Professionals. And those individuals can make a determination on the spot of whether someone is a danger to themselves or others or gravely disabled. CDMHPs were on site and did consult with the individual, and they did not conclude that any of those three elements were met. I just want to this was discussed on the dais at the last meeting. I wanted to let you know that we went through all those steps. Okay, with that, why don't we go to the next item? Recent community events. Bill, I can see you behind the podium there. You there? All right. Okay, so emerging issues and report, recent community events. We had the Kiwanis 32nd annual golf tournaments.
Yay.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Now, I had every intention of playing. I drove all the way out.
We missed you playing.
Exactly. Is this TMI? I drove all the way out to the North Shore golfing thing. I'm left-handed. And so I get all the way out there. I figure, okay, I'm going to rent the clubs. And it turns out that when I got there, they had in Northeast Tacoma, they had this a burglary at that location. And somebody had taken all their left-handed clubs. Exactly. That's what I said. But I did come back for lunch.
He did.
But exactly. You don't have to ask me twice. All right. So it was a great event. Thank you, Kiwanis, for a great event. And we did have Desiree, our Deputy Public Works Director. She's pictured there, and she was sort of our ringer for this event. She's a great golf player. And then we also had Brian and David Solano, our communications person. Did you want to?
I was just going to say it was a good, successful golf tournament. We had more teams this year than we've had forever, and we'll be doing it again next year. So thank you to everyone who participated, donated, and volunteered. Thank you.
Okay, all right, and nobody had to watch me play golf, which is very good. Okay, so we had the South King County Fire 22nd Annual 9/11 event. Chief, you did a great job, great remarks, thank you. Very stirring. Can't believe it's been 22 years since 9/11. And this is the fire station on 320th east of the freeway, and they've got a very touching memorial there from different locations and from the 9/11 and from the location in Pennsylvania as well. We have the far picture is, you can see Becca there introducing me at the Chamber Quarterly Update. That was last Wednesday, and yes, I did get my Wonder Woman cup. It's so good to be in person again, and we had a great opportunity talking with the business leaders in Federal Way, and several council members were present, and they asked great questions, and it's great to work with our local business partners. Okay, and the big news was that Saturday event where we had where we opened the community pool. That was absolutely fantastic. Okay, upcoming events. We've got the Walmart grand opening, reopening the store celebration, September 22nd. That's this Friday.
Which store?
I believe it's the big one. Yeah, the big one down there on 16th. But they're actually both pretty big. Okay, we've got Taste of Federal Way also the next day on the Farmers Market, 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we've got the Mayor's Day of Concern Food Drive, October 7th at 10 a.m. To 2 p.m., which we've got a representative from Waste Management to address us as well. That concludes my emerging issues and report. Let's get right into public comment, and let's start with the representative from Waste Management, Han Kirkland. Han?
Hello. Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, and Deputy Mayor Honda, the rest of council. I'm here to give a quick update on Waste Management's annual report. My name is Han Kirkland, and as many of you know, I'm the contract manager for Waste Management. I've had the privilege of managing the solid waste contract with city staff since October of 2020. It's been an honor for Waste Management to proudly serve the Federal Way community for 33 years, providing garbage, recycling, and yard waste services. Behind the scenes, Waste Management has a team of dedicated professionals who work hard to provide excellent, efficient, and safe collections to the city. So we have a contract compliance team, customer service, communications, dispatch, operations, and public education. So most people don't see everybody else that's involved with the contract, but it's quite a team. And we're here to ensure that residents, businesses, and city staff receive the best possible service. And as part of our contract requirement with the city, one of the things we report on every year is the tonnage that we collect from the community. And this is broken down by the line of business and diversion rates by the customer base. So, and then the diversion rate is the amount of material that we keep out of the landfills. These materials like glass, paper, they're sent off to be recycled or composted, giving them a second life. And so last year in 2022, the numbers stayed about consistent with 2021. So 52.6% of the residential base was diverted, 12.2 multifamily, and 11.7 in the commercial base. Waste Management is committed to being a good steward of the planet and community partner. Last year on America Recycles Day, also known as National Recycling Day in November, we announced a $56 million investment in recycling technology across Washington State. So here we have three what we call MRFs, material recovery facilities. So we have redundancy across the state. And that's, we're here to increase diversion and lower contamination through advanced technology. And for JMK Fibers in Tacoma, where Federal Way's recyclables go, this included a $7 million investment following significant upgrades in 2019, which brought additional paper screens, optical sorters, and a second plastic sorter. And on to being the community partner. Last year, we sponsored and participated with the City of Federal Way in the Red, White, and Blues Festival. We were at Touch a Truck. We had to chuck the cart and our truck, yeah. And Rianne was at the Trick and Treats event, which was fabulous. Kids loved it. We also donated to the Federal Way Performing Arts Foundation Gala and in-kind services to the Federal Way Farmers Market. And we continue to donate our Green for Good grants to the Multi-Service Center, South King Tool Library, and Goodwill. And last year, that was about almost $45,000 between the three organizations. So great sustainable organizations, as well as being a proud member of the Chamber. So like you were saying, in October, we look forward to partnering with the city again to fight hunger. The last week of September, residents will see flyers on their curbside carts for residents to leave food out the following week. The first week of October is when we'll be collecting donations. And yeah, so also with the Federal Way Farmers Market Taste of Federal Way, Rihanna and I will be tabling there. So come look for us and learn about recycling. And with that, thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
All right, thanks, Hon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, yeah, please, come on. Come on up. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Appreciate being here. And thank you, Han. Lucky to work with her. So my name is Rianne Janovich. I'm going to provide a summarized outreach report of what recycling and waste reduction education we were able to accomplish last year. Along with the events that Han mentioned, like Touch a Truck, the 4th of July Red, White, and Blues Festival, we also were able to sponsor and host a recycling collection event through the South King Tool Library. They're fantastic. We were able to collect textiles and styrofoam from the community where 95 households participated. We also had a great virtual recycling do's and don'ts workshop through the City of Federal Way's Green Living Workshop series, which you may be able to catch a recording of on the Green Living Workshop series site. And more of a report of what we did last year. WM Outreach, myself and my teammates were present in schools and classrooms at the following schools: El Centro de la Raza, Uptown Square, and the Boys and Girls Club after-school programs. All of our in-person and virtual outreach was impactful based on the feedback from the community, which feels great to hear. And our programs focus on how materials are sorted at a recycling center, or perhaps preparing special collection items for recycling or reuse, how to reuse and properly dispose of holiday waste, and importantly, why recycling is important to our ecosystems. We were also able to connect with 35 multifamily properties in 2022 and assist them with recycling concerns like illegal dumping, theft of service, and contamination to improve the quality of their experience with recycling. Multifamily complexes are one of the largest focuses for our recycling outreach in Federal Way. As your outreach person, and we try to provide property managers with residents with all types of resources that have clear instructions for recycling practices. And when we do provide this outreach, we are providing more beneficial opportunities to recycle. All of the education we do in the community helps support efficient recycling practices through the JMK Fibers Material Recovery Facility. And again, it impacts the reuse of materials so we can support our ecosystems, like our forests associated with paper production, marine sand for glass production, caves and deserts for plastic production, and protecting sensitive areas when mining for minerals and metals. WM was also able to award 5 residential customers with the Recycling All-Stars Award, giving them 1 month of free service based on their pledge to recycle right and based on their follow-through, along with giving an award to Argyle Apartments and Good Shepherd Community Church for their improvements with recycling. We look forward to 2023 and providing you an update. Thank you. Or 2024.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, thank you, Hon. All right, yeah, let's thank our waste management partners. Thank you. Okay, and now we're on to a public comment. That's probably, in my opinion, the most important part of the meeting. Remember, you've got 3 minutes unless you're speaking on behalf of 5 other people that are present and signed on to the form. And green means go, yellow means you've got 30 seconds, red means please stop. And obviously, we all know the rules of public comment. So with that, George Houston. And then after George, Alexander Milston, Jeremy Windsor, Melissa Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Mr. Mayor, I do bring you greetings from Kristen Lang, a member of the church that I pastor. My name is George Houston. I am originally from Seattle, Washington. Also lived in Renton, but up until about 7 years ago, I relocated to the Midwest. since Mayor been back pastoring the church here, the Federal Way Church of the Nazarene. And in that capacity, one of my concerns is the welfare of those that are my neighbors, those with whom I have contact with. And when I came, I noticed three main areas of concern that I saw in the city. One of them was the homelessness, not only in the city, but in the area. The other was drug use, and the third was violent crime. And it is in my understanding and in my observation that these three are often linked. And so I wanted to know what could I do and what could we do as a church to address one of these particular issues, and that was homelessness. And so I've had an occasion to meet with individuals from the Union Gospel Mission a month ago, and they work with churches, of course, and their concern was that they have a biblical approach that is driven from the city. I recognize that the problems are not something that the city is going to get rid of homelessness by just what the church does. But I do feel that when I began looking at the problem, I felt that it was presented like the blind people examining an elephant. Each person has a different perspective as to the nature of the problem and what should be done to address it. And so I feel that without the city's direction and guidance and without certain levels of support, then whatever people do in trying to deal with the effects of homelessness, that they would possibly be running up against a brick wall. And so in my talking with different players, different stakeholders, different people that are involved, I recognize that what's really needed is a coordinated response to homelessness in Federal Way. And to that degree, I am proposing a symposium on homelessness that would gather information from businesses that do not want to see services located in their vicinity, from government officials, from nonprofits, from groups like the Union Gospel Mission and churches. I would love to have the city's participation in that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Alexander Melston. Then Jeremy Windsor.
There are lots of things that affect the people of Federal Way, and one of the things that affects them the most that's really not talked about much can be debt, especially medical debt. Medical debt will be the specific thing I'm talking about. It's something that can really affect anyone out of nowhere. If you or a family member just suddenly breaks a bone, gets a major disease such as cancer, and especially if your insurance won't cover it, it can really cause lots and lots of debt that just can't really be paid back, that can destroy credit scores, make you go bankrupt, and lead to wage garnishments, which can really harm people a lot, to the point where it can make people even go homeless or into poverty. And this, of course, affects society a ton because it increases homelessness, makes it so people can't really shop at local businesses because they are having wage garnishments, and just overall does a lot of negative harm. And something that I think is really great is something that Philadelphia did, a nonprofit group there called RIP Medical Debt. They were able to purchase medical debt for 1/100th of its face value. Specifically, they were able to raise $15,000 and purchased $1.5 million worth of debt and forgave it. They did this because they're inspired by a church called, I have it written down, Trinity Moravian Church in North Carolina, which did something very similar. And the City Council of Pittsburgh decided to do something similar as well, where they were able to purchase medical debt for very cheap, 1% of its face value. and forgave it, which had a very positive effect. The reason this works is because medical debt is a type of junk debt that is very unlikely to be paid back. So hospitals will usually sell it to debt collectors for a fraction of its worth, usually about 1% of its worth, in order to get it back. And the city or nonprofits or churches can take advantage of that by purchasing the debt and forgiving it, which leads to much better outcomes and can do a lot of good for not a lot of money. And I think that City of Federal Way should consider doing something similar to what Pittsburgh did and maybe looking into that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Jeremy Windsor, and then Melissa Hamilton.
How you guys doing? Appreciate it. Thank you always to community. Young man, keep it up, man. I appreciate you guys putting me after him. I know it wasn't meant to be, but I love going behind the youth. Of course, like I always say, that's who I'm here to speak for. Currently, right now, personally speaking for myself, I really was impressed, right, with the new hires you guys had in the police department. It was very diverse, right? I saw, I think, 3 women, maybe 4, a black male. It was honestly, it was only 2 white males. Everybody else outnumbered them. Great job for Federal Way doing that. My community probably would still see it like they got 5 more for their gang, to be honest. I'm telling you right now, my community still sees police as a threat. I try to be one of those people that show young men and young women the difference in that, how I can talk to police in the same room and I can be accepted and they can be accepted at the same time. But for me, right, I see 6 new hires and I haven't been here for a while because I'm out there in the community fighting the fight, right, doing my work. And I've been trying to actually get into Todd Beamer, which I think the mayor's son might go there, or I know Todd Beamer's our biggest troubled, issued school right now. And my organization is really trying to get our hands in there and do the work that I talk to a lot of you community people about, but it's been a roadblock. Now they accepted some of us, but not all of us. And I probably have the biggest impact in Federal Way community in my organization, and I've been one. I got an email today that said I'm not accepted. I'm not allowed to go in to do the work. And I deal with these kids 7 days a week, even while they're at school. Trust me, they're reaching out to me. I still speak with them. But for some reason, because I have a background, and I do have a criminal history, but I also am a military veteran. I'm also a college graduate with 2 degrees, and I've been in community all my life, right? So for me, unfortunately, I see barriers still. Like, I think it was great, I really do. I actually took that picture so I can share that how diverse that group was. I was really proud of that, to see that. But again, like I said, for my community, some people will say, oh, they got 5 more for their gang, and they're adding a bunch more, when a few people like myself that are really doing work, because with the pastor's homelessness issue, with drugs, with the violence in this community, I promise you it's going to keep rising unless we impact the youth, unless we keep getting more young men like that in here with facts. And I'm impressed by you, young man. Keep it up. Every time I'm here, he's here. No matter if I don't come for 2 months, he's here. So keep that going, young man. And I'm trying to bring more young men and young women that are in that realm, but I need to be able to be approved. I know I'm going to the school board to finish this up, but I wanted to come here too. Appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the work you do in our community. Melissa Hamilton, and then Susan Strong.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, and City Council members. My name is Melissa Hamilton, and I would like to speak to you about the pursuit laws. It's my understanding that the legislature creates laws, the police then seek to understand and interpret and impose those laws, and then ultimately the courts decide on the validity of that interpretation through the process of statutory interpretation when cases are brought before them. We saw this play out most recently with the Blake decision. I noticed that under current law, that arson in the 2nd degree is a pursuable offense, which seemed odd to me because arson really is a property crime But when you look at why arson is considered a violent crime, it's because of its potential to cause bodily harm or death. We have a growing trend in our region of smash and grab type burglaries, where criminals take a stolen vehicle and they drive into a building to burglarize it. In the same way that arson is a violent crime, I believe that these burglaries are also violent crimes. People often work late. There are janitorial staff that work late in these buildings. It's not safe to assume that no one is going to get seriously harmed or killed when these criminals drive a vehicle into a building, causing massive structural damage. Vehicles are defined as deadly weapons in other types of cases, and I think they should be defined as deadly weapons in these particular cases as well. The legislative intent behind the current law was to prohibit pursuits for low-level types of crimes, which makes sense, such as shoplifting or theft. But these smash and grab type crimes are not low-level crimes. The potential to cause bodily harm and the fact that they cause tens of thousands of dollars in damage to our businesses doesn't fit the description to me of low-level crime. I'd like to see if our mayor, city council, maybe our public safety committee, police department would be willing to look at this with a different approach and define these types of crimes as burglary in the first degree, the vehicle being a deadly weapon, and make these crimes a pursuable offense in our city. Thurston County just recently did this. They put out a statement saying that these are now pursuable crimes in their county. I would like to see us do the same. I also find it ironic that the RCW used to define what is a pursuable offense, which was originally enacted with the legislative intent to hold criminals accountable to victims, counties, cities, the state, municipalities, and society for the assessed costs associated with their crimes. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Melissa, just so you know, I just reached out to our two city lobbyists today, yesterday, at our management team meeting. I asked the chief to find out I wanted to get an update on the statistics, because he gave an estimate of how many stolen cars per month. And the chief got back to us. This law was passed or went into effect on July 1st of 2021. In 2020, there were 764 car thefts in Federal Way, an average of 64 per month. The next year, there were 835. It went to 70 average per month. The next year, from 21 to 22, there were 1,492, 124 average per month. And then so far this year, 924, an average of 185 per month. So the car theft in the city of Federal Way went up 79% when they passed the pursuit law. So I reached out to, as soon as I got this, thank you, Chief, for following this up. As soon as I got that up, I testified several times, and we've got a former legislator here as well, our council president. As soon as I got these statistics, I forwarded them to our city lobbyist, and I instructed them that we're going to be sending a letter to our legislative delegation. I'm going to be asking for a meeting. I'm going to ask them to address the pursuit law appropriately. We've taken a look at what Thurston County did, and we'll take another look at it. But I can tell you, they need to fix the law, because you've got people that are being victimized, not here and everywhere. There's a startling statistic I want to share with you, that in King County theft numbers in 21, let's see here, the 79% increase in that first year, and I think we're the third highest car theft in the nation. Consider where we're at population-wise, but I think we're only behind California and Texas. But then we're not talking per capita, we're talking raw numbers from the state of Washington. We've had several businesses in this community that have had cars run into them. A long-time business, Sheer Magic, just right around the corner, had a business that was rammed. This is high on our priority list. And I will be down there. We'll get our council down there, and we'll make this our #1 legislative priority, subject to council approval. Council President?
So, Melissa, after we got your email, I did research the Thurston County law, and I did send an email to our police chief about declaring a car a deadly weapon. And I don't know if Andy wants to respond to that. But just so you know, the way this works, when they steal a car, what they'll do is they'll ram the vehicle into the front of a business, steal what they can, and then run to another stolen vehicle and leave in that. And I think that, I like the idea of making this a deadly weapon. But Chief, what did you say about that?
I don't disagree with the speaker. I think the mayor said it. It's the law. If it's a policy decision by council or the police chief, it's a no-brainer. We would certainly pursue, because it's the law and it's being interpreted as if there's no danger, if the vehicle's just being used to ram a business versus if it's occupied, it's a totally different story. So patrol lieutenants in the field have the discretion whether to allow pursuit or not to allow pursuit, case by case. But what I can't guarantee my officers, and what the mayor and council can't guarantee, is that during one of those pursuits, if something goes wrong, there's no assurance that the officers will not be prosecuted by the state level. So I am reluctant to make a blanket policy. And if you notice, that's one agency, a sheriff, making a decision, but all the other cities and jurisdictions aren't jumping right away to do that, because it needs to be case by case. The citizens can't assure us that the officers won't go to prison if something goes wrong. So we need to change the law, no doubt about it.
So that's the short answer, Melissa. We'll be down there asking our legislators to help us with, and the way you all can help is to write to your legislators, your 2 state reps and your senator, and demand that they change that pursuit law so that you're protected. That should be their primary goal after education, is to make sure that you are safe. And so that will be our goal.
Just to share some other numbers, in 2020, before the law was passed statewide, there were 26,520 car thefts statewide. Last year, there were 45,000, almost doubled. This year so far, we've got 27,775. The City of Federal Way police officers have had 807 individuals flee from our officers where we could not stop them as a result of that law. So we'll keep fighting, but thank you. Your comments were prescient. Thank you. Susan Strong.
I almost feel like I don't even need to talk. That was really good. Thank you. Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, council members. I'm Susan Strong, and I live in Federal Way. And congratulations to the 6 new officers sworn in tonight. The residents of Federal Way are very thankful for these new officers. Federal Way is heading into a gradual decline. Probably everybody's noticed that. The homeless, drug-addicted, mentally ill population, along with gang members, is growing by the week. We see groups of these people being dropped off onto the streets of Federal Way. I believe the majority of these homeless people are not from Washington State. I could be wrong. Driving around town, you see the homeless walking up and down the main streets asking for money. People high on drugs are present up and down Pacific Highway South. They are in most of the large parking areas asking for money. I believe the lawlessness we see on the streets has moved over to the way people drive. Much of the time when I'm driving around, I see drivers using the turn lane to pass a car in front of them. I still can't get over that. I see it almost every day. I don't know what these people are thinking. And it appears that drivers think the posted speed limit number is only a suggestion. And don't even get me started on the school district. All 4, now I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, somebody let me know right now. All 4 of our high schools are in the bottom 25% nationally. Anybody got a different number? Thank you. In the 2021-22 school year, we spent over $17,700 per pupil. You got to think about that one. We live in a beautiful part of the country. Our weather is not too cold in the winter. It's not too hot in the summer. The water and mountains are spectacular. Let's work toward getting Federal Way back to the peaceful, safe city it used to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Hicks, followed by Mary Ellis, Julie Vance, John and Deb Long, and then Trinish Rogers. Mr. Hicks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Two quick questions. I was under the impression that this council meeting was going to be more about the Steel Lake management re-upping or reassignment. And my question, most of my statements are to that. I live on Steel Lake. I live on the intersection of 21st and 304th. And I've lived there about a decade, and my in-laws lived there 20 years prior to that. And I'm not sure what the Lake Management Board's actual job duty is, but if any of you have been to Steel Lake recently, the lake is basically dying. For whatever reason, it's not being treated. At least, it's been at least 4 years, to the best of my recollection, that it's been treated. There's milfoil in the middle of the lake to the surface. It is a distinct, gross color green. The algae blooms migrate to the shores, and predominantly in the morning. And the last time, 2 years ago or so, I talked to someone in the city government, a representative, and the conversation didn't go very well because the other person didn't appear to want to really hear what I had to say. And I realized this is probably not even you guys' jurisdiction or whatever, but it's a problem. You don't need to be Marlon Perkins or Jane Goodall to see that the lake is literally dying because of the growth of invasive water species. And I don't know why or what it takes to get treated. Kind of feel like the revolutionaries. You know, I pay a tax to live on the lake, and I have no problem paying my taxes, but I don't really feel I'm getting any representation for my taxes. I can't let my dogs in the water because the water is effectively poisonous. And if, you know, no one in their right mind would want to go swim in the lake. And I realize, I don't know how long it's been, maybe 10, 12 years, a young woman died in the lake back when the lake was very toxic with milfoil and noxious plants. And I remember when the entire west end of the lake was a giant pond because of the water lilies. And it's been really nice up until, like I say, the last 3 or 4 years. For some reason, whoever's responsible for taking that responsibility, I don't know why or how. And also, one other quick question. 304th, I understand, is a thoroughfare east and west. And if you go on the west side of Pacific Highway, many of the neighborhoods there have speed bumps. Well, I've nearly been run over numerous times out my parking driveway sweeping because people use Pacific Highway to Military Road in a straight line. They go very fast. And at one point, I was there were going to be speed bumps put in, and now there's not going to be. It really, you know, someone's probably going to get hurt. There's a lot of children on that road. It's a very heavily traveled road. I understand you need it for access for emergency vehicles, but people don't respect the speed limits, just like this other woman was speaking. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Robert. Robert, when we get done with public comment, I'm going to ask our Public Works Director, let's get done with public comment, and I'll have him address some of the questions about milfoil. But then when he's done with that, he's going to reach out to you here to talk to you about the process for speed bumps. There's a whole process we do. Okay, so he'll get you that information. All right. And now we've got Julie Vance.
Hello, Mayor, council members, thank you. I'm Julie Vance, 70-plus years resident of Federal Way. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cold. I'm here to address Steel Lake. I live a stone's throw away from Steel Lake, and I agree with everything the gentleman before me said. Right now, it's so badly polluted. I won't take my dog down there. I walk through the park every single day. I have friends that live on the lake, and I know my neighbors that live on the lake have to pay an assessment every year. A few years back, they killed off all the natural lily pads, all the natural environment. You don't see turtles, you don't see frogs, you don't see any of the animal life that used to live in that lake. My children used to go down there and dive for crawdads. Absolutely no crawdads. Whatever they've done in the past 10 years has killed all that potential growth and greenery that keeps the water clean. It's a cesspool right now. Nobody should swim in it. I will not get near that lake. It's really, really bad. And I don't even live there, but I go there, and the people that go to the park to enjoy it, they don't swim there. No kids have been swimming in it the last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? It's horrible. Drive down there and take a look at it. You talk about pollution and the waste management and all that. Our waters need to be taken. I'm an avid, excuse me, I'm not politically correct. I'm an avid fisherman, fisher lady, catcher, whatever. I won't even catch a fish out of that. Pardon me? Angler. Thank you. I like fishermen, or they call me Grandma down at Redondo. But I won't even catch a fish out of that lake to eat. And I eat fish probably twice a week. And so that is a bad, bad deal. When the state puts fish in that lake for people to catch, and you can't even eat it for fear of being sick. That's all I have to say. Please take care of our lakes, too.
Thanks, Julie. Mary Ellis. And then John and Deb Long.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellis, and I'm here on behalf of the Historical Society of Federal Way, just to say thank you for the council's continued support, and especially to John Hutton and the park staff for continuing to work with us. We always appreciate you. And I just want to really say that we're working very hard to capture and share the history of Federal Way. And part of that is on October 7th, we invite everybody Saturday at the Regional Library. Noon is our annual meeting. And at 1 o'clock, we have a presentation about the roadhouses in Seattle. The authors will be there. And Brook Lake, which the Parks has just got a grant for, is actually one of the few roadhouses from the 1930s, 1940s left. So we're going to have a presentation about that, and we will also do our holiday open house come November 17th. So I invite everybody, if you're a member, you're going to get your newsletter. If you're not, contact me, and I'll get you an application. And please come join us, and we'll try to share with you some fun things. And we greatly look forward to what's happening at Brook Lake. So,
thank you, Mary.
Mary, can you share what the cost of being a member of the Historical Society is? Because it's not very much.
It's only,
And we need more members more people to join.
we do. We're doing some fun things right now. It's an important time. It's $35 for the year for a family. So come join us. We're learning more all the time. We share with other organizations, and we hope to hear your stories. It's our big goal for the next year. We're losing a lot of people that have some very, very fun stories that we don't want to see gone before we get them documented. So come join us. Whatever way you'd like to participate, we could use you.
Well, thanks, Mary, and remind everybody that talking about the Brook Lake House and the roadhouse that it was, the picture in our council chambers here that was painted was literally hidden in the woods, in the boards of that of that Brook Lake Community Center for decades.
And when you think of those old roadhouses, in the 1930s, 40s along Pack Highway,
Yeah.
there's only about 2 or 3 that are still intact.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to see this one not just intact, but usable again
That's right.
for
That's
some
right.
fun things.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. John and Deb Lang. Or Long, sorry.
Good evening, and thank you, Mayor and council members. My husband, John, is right there. He's dealing with a cough situation, so I'm the talker, which is normal. We've lived in the Federal Way area for over 30 years, and we've lived on Steel Lake for 29 years. And we've always considered it a little paradise right in the middle of the city. And watching rain hit water has an effect on you. I'm also a retired school teacher. I've worked with children since 1974, and I've worked in Federal Way for many, many years. This is my 6th year being retired from there. I've seen Linda in the building a lot. Totem Middle School, once you're a middle school teacher, you're a teacher for life, let me tell you. And we've had many, many opportunities to have many people on our lake. We have 3 children and 9 grandchildren. Recently, my husband, we have something we call a party barge. It's a raft with a little electric motor on it. We can't take it out in the water anymore because it doesn't go anywhere. The growth in that lake is so, I've got it on my phone, I've got pictures of it for you to see. Right now, I told Dan Sterncroft, when I talked to him today, you might want to go there to that lake and look at it before the meeting tonight. I asked him if he'd be here. He is the water quality, what's his title? Water quality specialist. I said, you better wear sunglasses if you're sitting in the back. Because that's a job. It's a serious, serious situation. I am retired and have been home a lot. And I see the people that used to be on the lake and the people that now are not. We can't, we've got 2 dogs, we can't let them out down to the lake because they get sick. John took our grandson, our 12-year-old grandson out fishing, and it was a joke. He said they pulled up wads of this green stuff that's on our shores. He's pulling this stuff out. He said, Grandma, I got salad for dinner tonight. And that's all he caught. Over and over and over again, this long. I mean, Grandma, I've got salad for dinner tonight. That's a shame. When we first moved in there, the first 3 years we lived there, we used to have crawdad feeds, hundreds of crawdads out of that lake. There are no crawdads in the lake anymore. I've got here with me tonight the importance of lily pads in the aquatic ecosystem. Anybody can read it who wants to read it. They removed the lily pads from Steel Lake. Native, beautiful lily pads from Steel Lake. And you got to have them there. Who removed them? Why did they remove them? But my biggest question to you tonight is, why are we, the residents, property owners of that lake, who pay more taxes than the people across the street, because we're on the water, and we're happy to do that, why are we being assessed $95 a year, and the people who use the lake, bringing in all the non-native items on their boats, are not being charged even $5 to put a boat in the water? Why are we being assessed and they're not? That's our biggest question.
All right, thank you. All right, Trinice Rogers, and then Jeffrey Tancredi, and then Ken Blevins, Craig Patrick, Anna Patrick.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Farrell, Deputy Mayor Honda, Coach Marr, Council President, and fellow council members. I'm speaking this evening on behalf of the Diversity Commission. It's in response to a more recent incident regarding just unwelcoming comments. And it's really in response as a commission to support one of our fellow commissioners. So it reads in its entirety. Dear Mayor Farrell and City Council members, as part of City Council meetings, community members are allowed and encouraged to participate in public comment. This is an important part of our democratic process. One of the most important tenets of public comment is respect for all. At the City Council meeting on Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, 2 residents were allowed to use disparaging, hurtful language towards members of the LGBTQIA+ community in the City Council Federal Way. These statements were made on a day that was meant to honor and celebrate LGBTQIA+ pride in our community. Instead, they were met with disrespect and condemnation. While a core principle of the First Amendment is freedom of speech, disparaging, harmful language targeting gender and sexual minorities should not be tolerated in City of Federal Way. As the mayor and City Council, we believe it is incumbent on you to advocate for all members of the community. The Diversity Commission advises you to use your elected office and positional authority to reiterate and reaffirm that the City of Federal Way is a safe, welcoming, and inclusive community. The Diversity Commission recommends a statement of inclusion to be read before and/or as needed during public comment at City Council meetings. Towards that end, please see below for a draft of this statement. It reads in its entirety. The City of Federal Way and its elected officials do not condone disparaging, harmful language towards individuals targeting gender, sexual, racial, ethnic, disabled, and language minority groups in any content or capacity. As the mayor and city council, we affirm that the city is committed to the inclusion, safety, and prosperity of said groups. If you need further support in drafting this statement, please let the Diversity Commission know. Our lived experiences, collective knowledge, and skills, and dedication to advocating diversity, equity, inclusion, and access may be guiding and valuable to this process. Sincerely, the Diversity Commission of the City of Federal Way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Trinice. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Jeffrey Tancredi.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor Honda, Council President Kochmar, Council. Jeff Tancredi, Federal Way resident for 27 years. Yes, sir. Yesterday, I talked to a business owner in Federal Way. I won't mention the business, but he frequently stops individuals from stealing from his store. And when he checks, he'll check their ID. And recently, he said it was one from Spanaway, one from Tacoma. And then he said if they don't have any ID, that he says that the individual who's attempting to steal will say that they stay at the day center. They get their mail at the day center. Mr. Mayor, the day center does not appear to have redeeming value for the city, not for them or for the city. Here's why. They don't have a short-term, a near-term, or any type of a long-term goal to get the drug addict into some kind of a treatment and to get them rehabilitated and back into society. They come to the day center, they take a shower, they get their mail, and then what? Then what do? They go out with their carts that they did not purchase, and they go out and congregate in front of businesses. I go up and down, I talk to business owners all the time, business managers. They do their drugs or whatever they're doing beside those businesses, in front of those businesses. They steal from those businesses because the business owners tell me they steal. They set fires. They urinate and they defecate near the businesses. Today, I was driving up Pack Highway. Cafe Noir, which is, I think, an Asian-owned cafe, it's all of the time. Today, there were several homeless drug addicts. They had their carts, just in a very different position, right there in front of the business, on the side of the business. So it's very unfortunate. So I don't see where there's any value. Because there's no goal to get them off the street and get them rehabilitated. Crime emanates from that day center. So, and unfortunately, it's right across the street from Kitts Corner. I was talking to a resident from Kitts Corner today, and she had a lot of concerns with what's going on. I don't know what the issues I'm sure maybe there's some issues that go on within Kitts Corner, but she said she can't have her kids go into those trails or in those woods because it's dangerous, because the homeless drug addicts are in there. So kids can't play and do things that kids would normally do, that they would normally do because it's just not safe. So anyway, thanks for your time and appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Ken Blevins, and then Craig Patrick, and then Anna Patrick.
Hi, Mayor, Council. Thanks for listening to me today. What I wanted to talk about today is kind of the same things that Jeff was talking about. And what spurred it on somewhat for me was today I went to go to my favorite pho restaurant. It's Pho Quinn, and it's really good if you guys like pho. So, but really good servers and so on. So I like to go there, sit down, think about my day, check out my Facebook. And I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I look over to the right, over towards the Home and Home, the back of the Home and Home, and there's 3 guys sitting over there. There's a bunch of garbage, carts. Looks like some other guys came up to kind of take a look at what kind of merchandise they had. And then all of a sudden there was 5 people, there was 7 people, there was 10 people, there was 12 people. And then they started moving out in different directions all together. And the only thing I can think of is those guys are probably going to go somewhere to, steal at a store or whatever it is. So The thing about the homeless in our town, I'm going to disagree with Mr. Niven, because the people that I've talked to in going into the encampments, which I don't go into them as much as I used to because you cleared them up, so our police department did a really good job of doing most of that stuff. But the problem is that they keep being sent from other cities. Jeff is right. When they cleared this giant homeless encampment in Tacoma, we started seeing more Tacoma people coming off the Pierce County, and so they're dropping off in all the different stops from basically Costco to here to there from 356 on, and then you find them all the way over by the mall. And then King County does something in West Seattle or wherever they clear those encampment, they come down. We're the end of the line on both sides. It's not going to get better until we tell these cities to stop doing that, until we really get rid of this day center. You know, I don't want to take away services from somebody, but these are not Federal Way citizens. They're not people that were in apartments that decided, hey, I'm going to get on drugs and just go out in the woods. They're not the people that were just, out of this, got injured or something like that and couldn't start paying their bill or so on. These are people from out of town that have basically been invited from other states to here because we had, free, you can do whatever you want. You can come steal up to $1,000 and not get arrested or not, it's not a major crime. And then you could do drugs on the street and so on. And some of that just stopped happening. But we have this bulk of people that have come to our cities. They buy these hotels and they just stick addicts into a hotel, and that's not humane. And so I want our city to really stand up to this and publicly, tell Seattle and Tacoma to stop throwing their junk down here. And I'm not saying these people are junk. I'm not. They're human beings, and we really need to treat them that way. We're not right now. And so I think it would be great if we just did a little bit more work on that and recognize that these people are from out of town. They're not from Federal Way. So I don't think we need the day center here. So thanks.
Thank you. Craig Patrick.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, council members, community. Thanks for coming out here. My name is Craig Patrick. I live in Federal Way. I've been here for 30 years. First, I'd like to say thank you to Chief Wang, thank you to the mayor, and thank you to the SOU officers and Linda Kochmeyer. We were scheduled to do a cleanup on the 26th on the south side of where the Department of Licensing is, where the Billy McHale's is. There's a little horseshoe parking lot in there, and there was a homeless camp back there. We were scheduled to do a cleanup. Stand Up Federal Way community was going to do a cleanup. Linda Kochmeyer was going to join us, and it was cleaned up. And we were thinking, well, this is going to take the city a little, but the city was on it like faster than I don't know what. But you used to see things move at a glacier pace. But they got on there, they got the cleaned up, and it was really fast. But this gave us more opportunities. This was really impressive. I'll say impressive. For all 23 and a half of you that showed up and did what you got to do, it was amazing what you guys did. With that being said, I would like to invite the city council, because I know some city council members have participated in cleanups before. I would like to invite the city council members who care about this city, who want to know about what's going on their land, to come and do a cleanup that we're doing on September 30th. We are going to be doing a cleanup on 348th and First Avenue, where the new Trevaux apartments are going. These are market rate apartments. These are going to be bringing income into this city. This is why we want this to be successful. The property manager said the people on the higher levels can see the campers out there. They can see their tarps, they can see their fires, they can see their activity while they're in their houses. And this is something they're paying thousands of dollars for. So, they reached out to us. We said we'd be helpful. We wouldn't mind working with them to clean up the property. So we arranged to meet with them on the 30th to do this cleaning. The company is going to provide a dumpster. We need to provide the people to do this. So I'm inviting the council. I'm inviting our community members that want to get involved. The pastor that was here, I would like to invite him and his church. I reached out to the Mormons elders, and they're interested in doing it with us. I know other council members did litter picks with us before. And so I would like to invite them and anyone who's in the community that cares about their community, because when I met with the mayor, it was kind of fun because he was proud of me. Well, what are you doing this for? How come? What's going on? What's motivating you? And I'm thinking a clean community is a safe community. That's it. They go hand in hand. A clean city is a safe city. So we would really like to invite those who want to get involved with this city, those that need kids that need their hours for graduation, people that need community service hours for the court, issues. We can provide that for them. We will provide the pickers, the buckets. You got to bring your own gloves. protective gear, but we will facilitate and provide you with the stuff we need. But this is happening on the 30th of September, and we're going to have a stand at the market for the Taste of Federal Way. So you can come talk to the Stand Up Federal Way Community Group if you're interested in doing a cleanup. I'd be glad to answer questions any other time.
So Craig, you want to tell where you're going to meet, what time, and then also that the property owner has invited you to do the cleanup?
That's correct, yes. The property owner invited us to do this. We're going to be meeting at 9 a.m. Either in the Trevaux parking lot. They gave us some space to do, but we can also meet at the corner of First Avenue and 348th where the IHOP is. There's IHOP is there. There's like a back parking lot next to First Avenue. You can park up there and carefully cross the street, you know, and get to the Trevaux apartments that are on the 348th First Avenue side. So it's going to be 9 a.m. in the morning on September 30th. If you want more information, please stop by the Taste of Federal Way this weekend on the 23rd, and we'll have a booth set up where we can inform you guys and fill you in on anything else. But thank you for your time. Thank you for that wonderful cleanup. I appreciate that. That was grand. Thank you, Chief Wang. Thank you, SU. Thanks, Keith Nevins, for doing that, and I appreciate all you guys are doing. I am enjoying working together versus not.
Anna Patrick.
Good evening. Evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council President, and Council. I would like to address, I just want to talk about housing. I have been in communication with somebody from the Department of Commerce that invited a meeting. They're pretty busy, so it's been tabled, but it came about because there was a request for comment on the prioritization of multifamily rental funding by the Department of Commerce, and they were wanting to base it on by and for definitions, so special groups of housing, and so that kind of caught my attention, you know, because I know they also released the housing needs based on income bracket. And as we know, Federal Way has one of the highest tax-exempt housing units numbers per 100,000 in all of the cities of King County, comparable size-wise. And so I think that it's really important we start being more intentional. It impacts how much we can put towards services for those high-risk people in our community. It impacts how much we can arrest people and put them in jail, and utilize some of the other tools that we have in that process of enforcement and getting them on a better path. That requires money that we need more of. And without those higher income brackets, we don't have the spending power of the community contributing to our tax base. And so I would like, maybe you can get somebody to come out and explain to us how we can empower our city to bring in those upper income brackets and understand all of the different, I feel like we need more understanding of the different housing models so that we can make informed decisions. And then, I have concerns about the buy and for housing because some of that, one of the definitions is drug addiction. We know Bellevue thinks it's more appropriate here. At least one person from Bellevue had commented in the past, and that kind of gave me an impression that that's kind of a mindset that you know, where you see more of it, it's more appropriate to put it there. And I don't think that's good policy. I don't think it's fair. And it facilitates segregation, and it drives housing into already defunded communities. And also, you know, we're a system here, and we have a system of police, jail, community intervention. We all need to work together, as Mr. Patrick just said. You know, it seems like everybody's working in silo here, so I think we need to work together as a system, and dismantling components of the system isn't really working very well. As you might remember my stats that I brought to the meeting last week with the theft and shoplifting that you'll find on Stand Up Federal Way's Facebook page. You'll see that. It's very impactful, our policies that we're implementing now. It's not working. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, do we have anybody online for public comment?
No, Mayor, I don't have anyone.
Okay. All right, that concludes public comment. Before we move on to the next item, EJ, can you talk a little bit about Steel Lake? And we are going to want to follow up at the next council meeting regardless. We'll want a full presentation, but can you?
Sure, and I think we have a presentation a little further down on the agenda tonight related to Steel Lake specifically. So I guess as a little bit of the background, the Lake Management District is something that the city administers but isn't necessarily a party to. So we don't enforce what is done on the lake. We are a gathering point under state law that allows for the LMD to bring groups of property owners together to create a district that oversees the treatment of the lake. So that's the city's role in it, not to go out and proactively do something or remove something. So what that means in practice is the LMD has a board that's approved and appointed by the city council. The members of that board are the ones that make the decisions whether or not to treat the lake, what to treat it with, how to treat it, at the recommendation of the professional consultants that they hire to provide reports and go out and do the aquatic surveys. So the lake has been treated over the last several years. There was an algae bloom on the lake 2 to 3 weeks ago that we are aware of and was reported to ecology in the county. But beyond that, I'm not aware of milfoil out there currently, although I will say I haven't been out to that lake in a couple of weeks either. So it very well may be there and I just haven't seen it. But really the best advice I can give anyone if you want to get involved is to put your name in the hat for council's consideration to get involved with managing the LMD.
All right, well, that's good. What we're going to need is a presentation at the next council meeting about the health of the lake, and we're going to need some testing of the lake. It is because people live on it, because people access it, because, animals, and we want to make sure that the lake is healthy. So we're going to get, just so everybody knows, we're going to, at the next full city council meeting on October 3rd, we'll have a report, and I want the lake tested. I want to figure out what's going on. Okay, thank you. John, let's work on that too. Let's work on it together. We may need to bring in our own expert or figure out who their expert is. Okay, thank you. Okay, I hope we'll address that. We'll run it to ground. Presentations. This is proclamation for Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd. Deputy Mayor Honda.
Thank you, Mayor. Is Sue Walker from the Lakota chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution here? I thought that was you. Thank you. I'll read the proclamation and then bring it down to you, and you can say a few words. Whereas September 17th, 2023 marks the 235th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation. And whereas Public Law Number 915, signed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1956, guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th as Constitution Day. And whereas celebrations are to emphasize citizens' responsibilities for protecting and defending the Constitution as we preserve it for posterity, to inform the people that the Constitution is a basis for Americans' great heritage and the foundation of our way of life, and to encourage the study of historical events which led to the framing of the Constitution in September 1787. Now therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the City of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim September 17th to 2023 to be Constitution Week in Federal Way, and we ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 and to reflect on our heritage of freedom.
On behalf of the Lakota chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution, we thank you for recognizing our Constitution Week proclamation. We've actively promoted Constitution Week since 1955, when we actually petitioned Congress to set aside this week for the observance of Constitution Week. The National Society has the only structure that's dedicated to the Constitution, and it's in Washington, D.C., and it's owned by the women of the DAR. As daughters, it is our responsibility to celebrate and keep our ancestors' legacy alive. We appreciate the part that you play in this endeavor. Thank you for the proclamation, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you so much. Very much appreciate it. Okay, next, what's item B, the Arts Alive recognition for the Arts Commission. We've got Cassie Swan with our Parks Department, and we also have our commissioners as well, the leadership of the chair and the vice chair here, Vicki Chenoweth and Karen Brigado, here on behalf of the Arts Commission. So, Cassie, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, Deputy Mayor, and Council and community. I am Cassie Swan. I am the Arts and Events Coordinator here with the City of Federal Way with the Parks Department, and I have the good fortune here to be sharing some great news about the arts community. I am lucky that I get to work with our Chair, Vicki Chenoweth, and our Vice Chair, Karen Brigado, and they, put a lot of heart and soul into providing art in our community. Each year, we do what's called Arts Alive, and it takes place every September. So this took place last week. We showcase artists from around the region, some from Federal Way, some from Renton, other areas nearby. And we just wanted to take a moment to recognize the artists here. Some of them are here, some of them were not able to make it this evening. And so I just wanted to take a moment to let you see the artwork that is currently on display at the Performing Arts and Events Center. Most of these artists actually came to us because of Arts Explosion that we hosted. The Arts Commission put on its first annual large arts festival here in Federal Way back in May. And so it was really neat to see them come and participate in this juried contest. This is professionally judged, and we had our juror, he is local, Robert Franklin, here from Federal Way. He is a retired airline captain, 30 years in the industry, but he now is pursuing his passion with watercolor. And so he was able to go over and jury this show. And he happened to choose Robert Bickle here, abstract number 6, as his winner. And he sent me an email to let me know, his background. He looked at what's the artist's intentions, what's the story to tell, what is the skill level of each artist, does the work communicate with the viewer, and those were just some of the things he thought about when looking at all of this artwork. I don't want to take up too much more of our artists' time, but if we could take a moment to give them a round of applause for their participation. And then if we could take a moment and do a photo in front of the dais, that would be great.
Let's do that.
And so if artists, if you would please, and arts commissioners, please step forward to the dais.
Did our chair and vice chair want to say a few words?
No. No,
Okay,
they
all
do
right.
not.
Just checking.
Yeah,
All right.
and so if everyone could step up to the dais.
Come on up.
Go on. Yeah, and there is an opportunity to vote on your favorite. You can view this artwork until January. So please stop by the Performing Arts and Events Center and take a moment to look at the artwork. Box office is open between 10 and 2, Monday through Friday. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do we need to squeeze?
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, great job. All right. All right. Thanks, Cassie. Okay, and now moving on to Council Committee and Regional Committees report. Actually, our Parks Chair is out. Our Land Use and Transportation Committee, Councilmember Dovey.
Hey, thank you, Mayor Farrell, for the time to report in on my committee. Our next next land use meeting, which will be coming up, will be, I think, interesting for a lot of people because in the background, we've been having a committee that's been advising from citizens on what to do with the downtown area of the old Target building. And our staff has been working very, very hard to get ideas for community spaces. And we'll be getting a presentation on that at the next land use meeting, which comes up the first Monday of next month. The other thing I'd like to report on, which is not really land use, but it has to do with some of the things the city has done, is we initiated last Thursday a class for people in Federal Way, and it's totally free, to learn more about how to manage money and learn how to just manage the different things that are going on in the world of inflation and how to provide for your family. And it's a program that Bill Bedino has been working with a group of volunteers. Our first meeting was last Thursday. We have 40 positions that people can take advantage of. And right now we have about 22 people that signed up that have gone through the first class. A couple were sick last week and they'll be making it up this Thursday. We still have opportunities for those who'd like to take advantage. This is what came from our ARPA money, and it was for financial literacy. And so that's what I have to report. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we've got the Finance, Economic Development, Regional Affairs Committee, FEDRAC, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did not have a meeting in August, so our next meeting is going to be on September 26th at 5 p.m. in this room. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we've got the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, LTAC, Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
Mayor, we did not have a meeting, and I have nothing to report on.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. The Senior Commission, which meets every month on the second Wednesday of the month here at City Hall, from 2 to 4, is holding a very special event for the first time tomorrow on Wednesday. And I'm going to read from what they would like me to read to you. The Senior Commission will be hosting a Senior Commission Connection event starting Wednesday, September 20th. The Senior Commission Connection events will be held every third Wednesday of the month from 10 to 1 at the Community Center. It is a great time to come and meet your Senior Commission members and other seniors as well. Tell us how we are doing and how we can represent seniors of the City of Federal Way. The Senior Commission will be providing snacks, and the Community Center will be providing coffee. We will be having guest speakers for future connections. Please come and bring your neighbors and your friends. The Community Center's address is 3325 8th Avenue South, Federal Way, 98003. We are really excited to do this. The Senior Commission works really hard to connect seniors to events and services here in Federal Way. I believe this is their 5th year, and they've produced a pamphlet for senior services, which we are in our 4th printing of. And every time we reprint it, we update it so the information is as up to date as possible. Our meeting last week, we had Representative Reeves came and talked to us about some legislation that she'll be working on next session. And she will be working on legislation for senior housing because there's some issues with senior housing around the state, and accountability for seniors who are not getting the services and the funding that they need from the state and other government. So we also had a really cool presentation from an organization called Volunteer Services. I'd never heard of this organization before. And they are affiliated with Catholic Community Services, and they will come to your home or your wherever you are And we'll do things that you need, either working in your yard, helping you in your home, driving you to the doctor, to the grocery store. You need to qualify for services, but they don't turn anyone away. So not only are they looking for people to help, but they're also looking for people to volunteer to help people. And if you're interested, let me know and I'll give you the information. They're in King County and Pierce County, and they'll even walk your dog for you. You know, they'll do whatever they can to help you be successful and be comfortable in your home. I would also like to remind council members you can still apply for National League of Cities leadership positions up until September 26th. The application is online. And I would like to ask the council and the mayor about our legislative agenda. You did bring that up earlier.
Yep.
I don't know if we need an ad hoc committee this year or just ask council members to come up with what we want on the legislative agenda, but I'm already being asked by Skateboard what our legislative agenda is. We don't have it yet, and AWC is asking for it, and SCA, so we can work together and get that.
Yeah, let's do both. I think we should ask all the council, but let's also do an ad hoc.
Okay.
I'll work with you and the council president about selection.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Council president?
With regard to that, why don't you send out what our list was last year? It's probably going to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
To the council, and they can see if they want to add or subtract.
Great idea.
Okay, thank you. But I do want to pass on that we have a Boeing engineer in our community that goes up to Everett every other week, and wanted to let you know that it's such a relief going through Seattle and looking at the graffiti on the underpasses and the people tenting, the trash along the freeway. What a relief it is to come back home to Federal Way, no graffiti, no tents on the streets, nobody living under the underpasses. And so I wanted to say thank you to our staff for their hard work with regard to that. And also, we have a Snuffleupagus. That's our pet name for this machine that we use to go out and pick up the litter along the sides of the roads. You ever see this kind of funny-looking machine that's got a big kind of a picker thing, and it puts it into the garbage? It's our Snuffleupagus. So thank you very much, Mayor.
I think it maxes out at about 25 miles per hour. Yeah. Now that we've brought this up, you'll probably see it around town, and it kind of just, it goes, but it kind of goes around the community. We've got one person that drives it 8 hours a day.
Yep.
The question is, does he have music in that? Does he have a radio in there?
No, there's no radio. He has earplugs because it's not quiet.
Okay, all right. Well, good to know. All right, thank you very much. All right, yeah, these are the consent agenda. Well, I'll get to that later. Consent agenda. These items have gone through committee and can be passed all at once. After I read them, I'll ask if a council member wants an item pulled for separate consideration. Item A, the minutes for the September 5, 2023 regular meeting minutes. B, limited license between the City of Kent, the City of Federal Way. C, 27th Avenue Southwest at Southwest 344th Street, compact roundabout, approval to award. D, authorization to apply for transportation grant funding. E, T-Mobile LLC site lease agreement, Lakota Park. F, T-Mobile LLC site lease agreement, BPA Twin Lakes. G, authorization to add new position to Public Works Senior Traffic Reviewer. H, King County Sheriff's Office Registered Sex Offender Cost Reimbursement Agreement for 2023 to 24. I, WASPC WASPIC funding for the use of force and duty to intervene training. J, MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with the Historical Society of Federal Way. K, Heritage Capital Project Grant Acceptance, Brook Lake Community Center. And L, authorization to apply for local parks maintenance grant for Sahalee Park. Council, is there an item you'd want pulled for separate consideration? All right, Council President Kochmar.
So thank you very much, Mayor. I think we're going to pull items E and F.
Oh, I see. That's right.
Because we don't need to take action at this time. Both items will come back through committee at a later date. So
Very
we're not
good.
pulling E and F. So I would move approval of consent agenda items A through D, and G through I
L.
for approval.
L. L.
Oh, that's an L. I need,
I thought the same thing. It's
okay.
okay, there's been a
Second.
motion, and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, matter passed unanimously. All right, thank you very much. All right, item 8, public hearing. We've got resolution for the assessment role for Steel Lake Management District. I will now open the public hearing. We'll have a staff report from Dan Sternkoff, our water quality specialist. Dan, we could have used you a few minutes ago. We were talking about Steel Lake. We may have you back next week, or next council meeting.
Maybe he could tell us what happened at Still Lake.
Well, actually, Dan, let's make a point of talking tomorrow about this with EJ, if that's okay.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? I'm Dan Sternkoff, I'm with the Public Works Department. I'm presenting here about the public hearing regarding this proposed assessment rule for the Steel Lake Management District. So the policy question is, should council approve a resolution approving and confirming the special assessment rule for the Steel Lake Management District number 1? Just real quick overview, I'll give you all a chance to read this over. This is kind of stuff we've already discussed in prior presentations. Essentially, so far we've passed two resolutions and 1 ordinance. Most recently, on August 8th, there was a second reading and adoption of an ordinance renewing the LMD and setting a public hearing date on the assessment role for the district, which is what's happening currently. So here we've got the assessment, calculation, and payment. It's pretty straightforward. Essentially, we just take the property type and multiply that by the rate. And that totals the assessment, annual assessment, basically. So City of Federal Way staff will calculate that assessment and share it with King County. King County then processes that information and shares the bills with the property owners. And then the property owners have to submit payment before May 10th. Otherwise, they're subject to fines, basically, or interest, rather. So here's the property types of Steel Lake. Kind of hard to see this map, not great, kind of small, but basically just different property types: single family, multifamily, park, vacant, things like that. And here's the assessment rate structure, and so it breaks down the different number of units per assessment, I guess just parcel type, rather. So 89 developed properties, 9 vacant, 1 city park, 1 boat launch, and 1 multifamily residential, so in property. So the public hearing has a lot of requirements as established by the RCW there. We published notice in the Federal Way Mirror in August 11th and September 1st, and we mailed letters to all property owners on August 11th, just discussing what time this public hearing was occurring. So the next steps, so September 19th, that's what we're currently doing. After this, there would be an ordinance establishing a time of payment and a resolution creating an LMD advisory committee that'll be presented to the LUTC committee. Then on the August 17th council meeting, there'll be a first reading of that ordinance and then the adoption of that resolution creating the advisory committee. And then November 8th is the second reading and adoption of the ordinance. And then basically in December, we'll appoint the advisory committee through council. So the 2 options are to approve this resolution or to not approve this resolution, basically, and provide staff direction. So the mayor recommends option 1, and if there's any questions.
All right, thank you. Council, any questions? Okay. Oh, yes, you do. Your light's on. Deputy Mayor.
So, thank you for being here. So while we're going through this process, is there a current Lake Management District Committee?
Yes, there is.
So they're currently managing the lake.
Yes.
And the issues that we heard tonight, are those current issues that you're aware of?
Yeah, we actually have a consultant that we work with who basically conducts a survey every year and we're actually required to treat all invasive species. We don't have the luxury of saying, oh, we're not going to treat that one. So we basically, when the survey comes in, we identify the invasive species that we need to treat, and then we conduct our operations accordingly, or the Lake Management District does, rather. So as far as the stuff that was talked about earlier today, the survey that I was talking about, it mentioned white water lily and yellow flag iris as the two invasive species that need to be treated this year. And currently, well, actually, I should check that, because the white water lily is actually, it's an invasive species, but it's below the threshold currently for requiring treatment, whereas the yellow flag iris is actually above that. And it's difficult because that one can't be treated by a boat, so it requires property access. So we're in the process right now of distributing letters requiring consent to allow our consultant to go onto people's properties and treat the yellow flag iris from the land, actually. So that's currently where our treatment process stands at this moment. As far as the milfoil that was discussed earlier, that was something that was concluded in the survey that wasn't an issue, actually. So and that's something that like I'm not a surveyor. That's a consultant that we hire, and that was the report that they gave to us, basically. So beyond that, I really don't have much more to add.
Well, we're gonna talk tomorrow. Thank you for bringing this up, Deputy Mayor. I want to get out to the lake. I want to get on the lake. So let's and maybe we'll talk to our specialist. Maybe we need to bring in somebody different. Let's just take a look at it. I want to get out figure out if we got a boat. I want to get out in the middle of this lake.
I do have one more question.
We have a boat.
Good. Yeah.
Make
All
sure
right.
he wears a life jacket to be safe.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Deputy Mayor?
My question is, I grew up going to Steel Lake, and there was always the lily patch. I mean, it was in the no swimming area. And over the years, it has decreased in size, so that's an invasive species to the lake?
There's actually two species of lily pads, and one's invasive and one isn't. The one by the swimming beach is an invasive species.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah, there's not very many.
Yeah, I couldn't speak to as why there's not as much, but
Okay.
But the ones that were identified is actually on a different part of the lake. The white water lily that I was mentioning, that's according to our survey, that was identified in a different part of the lake, not the swimming beach.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You know, as I was listening to this, I wonder if there's any sort of contamination. That's actually what I'm concerned about. But we'll get to that. Council President, and then we've got Paul.
You know, I think there's an inlet and outlet and sometimes that outlet gets plugged, is my understanding. I don't know if that has to do, but they were talking about an algae bloom also, which may have to do with the warm weather we've been having, I'm not sure. But are we having the same problem with North Lake? Because we have a lake management district there.
Yeah, actually, North Lake hasn't experienced an algae bloom to my knowledge this year.
No, I mean with the lake dying. Do we have a problem with North Lake?
No, North Lake is, I think,
People who live this is dumb.
yeah, according to the survey, it's not as bad as Steel Lake right now.
That's really interesting to try and figure out what's going on there. And Lake Geneva. Sounds like you need to get a few crawdads also.
Well, we're gonna Stephanie, can we add this as a presentation for the next meeting? And we're gonna drill down on this. Okay. But let's get back to our business. Actually, council member, Paul McDaniel.
Yeah, mine's more of a comment. Since we do have, it sounds like we have a survey and stuff, and you're going to be putting together a presentation, I'd want to make sure that we have a timeline of when these things were noticed and then what the treatment's been for it.
Right.
And the other item was, that since we have a mailing list for everybody there, I think we should probably mail the people who live there, letting them know that we have this upcoming discussion on that lake.
Okay, good idea. Thank you very much, council member. Okay, that's something else we'll talk about. Okay, but now, as to anything germane as to the, this particular issue? Nothing? Okay. Do we have any public comment on this?
No, I don't have anyone signed up, Mayor.
All right. And Councilmember Dovey, can you still hear us?
I can hear you. I move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been a motion to close. There's been a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, I move to the approval of the proposed resolution.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's passed unanimously. Dan, thank you very much. Was this your first presentation?
No, I actually presented back in June, was my first time. So,
I should remember that.
so,
You're hard to miss. What do you have, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'8", actually.
Oh, are you really? Wow. Wow.
He's taller than me.
Are we recruiting basketball players, Brian? Brian, are we recruiting basketball players? All right, thanks, Dan. Okay. Wow, okay. Ordinances. This is the second reading enactment, item A, Council Bill 861, multifamily tax exemption, MFTE application deadline. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title? I think I
Council Bill
got halfway there.
861, multifamily tax exemption, MFTE application deadline. An ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to modifying the city's multifamily dwelling unit limited property tax exemption program, amending Federal Way Revised Code 330010, 330040, 330050, and 330060.
All right, Councilmember Dovey.
I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second?
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Huh? Okay. Stephanie?
Councilmember Sefadossin?
Aye.
Councilmember McDaniel?
Nay.
Councilmember Tran?
Aye.
Councilmember Dovey?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Honda?
Aye.
Council President Kochmar?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1.
All right. All right. Now let's go on to our council reports. But before we do council reports, there's a very important piece of business I wanted to get to. Craig and Anna Patrick, are you guys going to be doing the Thriller at the farmer's market this Halloween again? Not to put you on the spot.
You could show us now how you're gonna do it.
Yeah, okay, well, we've been hemming and hawing about that, so it's going to be a kind of, we're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to see, you know, you're gonna have to show up and see if it goes down. It's gonna be, if it does happen, it'll be at the last farmer's market, which is the 29th of October. Well, I believe that that's a Saturday. So it's the Saturday before Halloween.
Correct.
That will do it, right?
That's my question.
It's in the works.
All right.
We're exploring the idea. We're gathering information. Is that right? Am I saying this correctly?
Wow, yeah, that sounds like a very political response. All right, all right.
I think we should move that they do the Thriller.
Yeah, exactly. That's a motion. Is there a second?
He said, not me.
All right, all right.
That's what he's asking.
All right. All those in favor? I'm just kidding.
Aye.
All right. I think it's official. All right. You know, the last time you guys did it was in 2019, and then
They did last year, didn't they?
We did it consistently. There was a break. There was a break, but then we did do it consistently.
All right.
We were losing momentum over it, right? So we'll do it once, and then we'll have everyone else come in and do it. So then that really gets the crowd going.
So it kind of died? All right, sorry. All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and council comments. We've got council reports. Councilmember Tran.
I don't have anything, Mayor.
I just couldn't help myself, you guys. Councilmember McDaniel.
All I really have is I went to the first showing on last Thursday, and I'll probably go to the rest of them. It's been pretty interesting. Video's a little bit long, but the people who've shown up so far have seemed to enjoy the information, and it's going to be interesting how it pans out for people.
Well, thanks for doing that. Councilmember Sefadossin.
I have nothing to report on, but I plan on attending Thursday's workshop.
It's great to see the council so involved in this. This is absolutely fantastic. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. So I have been attending meetings because it's September and everything's starting again. The DVI meeting. And what was Domestic Violence Initiative of King County. And what was really neat about that was last year sometime, the members of the DVI committee that represent SCA wrote a letter to King County asking for funding for someone to help victims get protection orders, because there's no one that was really specifically helping people with that. And it was funded. The position was funded, And the person started 3 weeks ago, and really cool. And she's already been helping a number of people get protection orders in King County. So that was really cool that we were able to accomplish that. The 911 memorial event was very moving. And my one wish is that we could, well, we don't do it, but that it could be held when the youth can be there. Because unless you were, you know, we all remember where we were when that happened. And those that didn't experience that because they weren't born or they were too young, if they're not attending these kind of things and listening to the stories and hearing the pain in people's voices and faces, they just won't understand. Yeah. And it's my wish that we could just have an event where the youth can come and participate and understand what happened. Tomorrow is a Regional Transit Committee meeting, and then Board of Health on Thursday. And last Friday, we had a joint transportation meeting with, I'm on skateboard representing Federal Way, but we had the 3 transportation committees in King County all meet, and it was a hybrid meeting. Some people were up in Seattle at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, and I was at home in my office on Zoom, where about probably half the people were. But we talked about all the regional transportation issues around King County, and it's, you know, it's kind of consistent everywhere you are in King County. We're having the same issues. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Dovey.
The only thing I want to report, I guess, is I'll put out another blurb for the financial literacy class at the community center on Thursday. I want to thank all our staff that's been involved and all of the council members that brought this across the finish line. I think it's a program that can help people turn the corner, and I'm looking forward to some great results. And I forgot to mention, of course, Councilmember Walsh and Councilmember McDaniel were there on the opening Thursday, and I really appreciated their support there. The people did also. And if anybody has a chance to come by Thursday, we still have openings, and it'd be a great opportunity to do kind of a self-assessment and a check and try to become a better financial manager, which we all need to do.
All right, thanks, Councilmember. All right, Council President.
Simply, Mayor, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that Ian Tongi, we didn't have a parade for him, but maybe we could get him to come back to City Hall.
Oh, yeah.
And just get him to sing something for us.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we should be proud of him.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Okay, I believe that concludes our business. Council, great job tonight. Staff, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for the people who watched and attended and participated. With that, we are adjourned.